On July 20, 1944, a group of senior German officers tried to assassinate Adolf Hitler with a briefcase bomb. To make a military coup work, you need troops to follow orders. For that, the conspirators desperately needed a field marshal to sign off on the mutiny. They spent 2 years trying to recruit this man, Field Marshal Günther von Kluge. For 80 years, historians have described Kluge as a man torn by conscience. In this telling, he saw the disaster coming and listened to the resistance, but hesitated because of his oath and the fear of sparking a civil war. That version of the story is common, but it ignores a documented piece of evidence sitting in the German archives that changes his motivations entirely. Adolf Hitler used a very specific mechanism that made moral persuasion completely unnecessary. Deep inside the Reich Chancellery records, there is a secret discretionary ledger known as Account 5. The existence of this ledger turns the story of a general's personal conscience into a forensic study of a massive payment system. This chart compares a field marshal's standard official salary with the secret funds they were getting. A commander like Kluge made 26,000 Reichsmark a year on the books, but Account 5 was paying out an extra 4,000 Reichsmark tax-free every single month. The system expanded around a senior officer's round-numbered birthday. Turning 60 meant receiving a single check for 250,000 Reichsmark, roughly 10 times their official annual salary, often bundled with massive real estate subsidies. To understand this power, we must look at the tax code. By the late 1930s, the German income tax rate on high earners sat at 65%. Because Hitler classified these payouts as expenses, they were tax-exempt. The exemption itself was worth a fortune. A tax exemption is a standing legal decision that must be continuously renewed by one person. These checks and tax reminders were hand-delivered by the head of the Army Personnel Office. The same man who controlled promotions ensured the money was tied directly to career survival. This operated as a revocable subscription model. If a general turned on the regime, the renewal stopped, and the fortune vanished. We can track exactly how this financial leverage worked by placing Kluge's bank deposits right next to his meetings with the resistance. In October 1942, Kluge receives his 60th birthday check for 250,000 Reichsmark, plus building permits, directly from Hitler's fund. In November, Kluge meets with the civilian opposition and promises he will arrest Hitler during a visit to the Eastern Front. March 1943 arrives. Hitler flies to the front. The assassins are in place, waiting for Kluge to give the order. When the moment came, Kluge refused to act. He took the money, but he would not sign off on the mutiny. For the next 2 years, he continued to draw his 4,000 Reichsmark tax-free monthly retainer while dodging the conspirators' pleas. His conditional hesitation failed to save his troops or himself. The front collapsed, he was relieved of command, and he committed suicide in August 1944. If these payouts are meticulously documented, why did they remain hidden for decades? Because men like Kluge killed themselves, they never wrote their own memoirs or stood trial to explain their bank accounts. The operational history of the war was written by their surviving staff officers sitting in Allied custody, men who protected their own post-war reputations. At the same time, the survivors of the resistance needed a narrative that proved the army wasn't completely complicit in the regime's crimes. Both groups shared a blind spot. Neither the captured generals nor the resistance riders had any interest in talking about a financial ledger. Forensic accounting reveals a different motivation for these officers. Hitler held his highest-ranking commanders in line through the continuous renewal of a simple, revocable paycheck.